Okay, let's send myself some good juju because I have been trying to film this for the past 3 months, but also tonight I have been talking on camera for like an hour, but I get like way too rambly. I want this to be detailed, but I don't want it to be unnecessarily rambly. Hi guys. I hit myself in the face. So, welcome back to my channel. I am really awkward. I hate talking on camera. I hate what my face does when I talk on camera because I get really tense. I suck at eye contact, so I'm going to keep looking at the screen and I'm probably going to ramble and stumble and just be all kinds of awkward. So anyway, today I finally have my birth story. I know I'm so late, but it was just so hard to carve out the time where I was actually ready and had the like time and privacy to like sit on camera and tell you my birth story. So hopefully I have it tonight. I fed the baby about an hour ago, less than an hour ago. It's 3:12 in the morning. So exactly 100 days ago, I was laying in my labor and delivery bed, napping, waiting to give birth. I was probably waking up around this time, like almost starting to push. Let's just start way back in the beginning. So when did I find out I was pregnant? So last October, I was in Dubai with my husband. We were there for about 3 weeks. He was there on business and stuff. And I know I keep looking at myself. That's because I'm really awkward. I struggle with eye contact. But anyway, so he was there on business, whatever. So I had a lot of alone time. I was by myself a lot. And I spent a lot of that time sleeping. Like I was in Dubai. I have friends in Dubai. Even if I didn't, I'm familiar with Dubai and it's so safe and easy to navigate. I could have like gone and done my own thing. No problem, but for some reason I was sleeping so much. I was so tired. In general, I am a very low energy person, so I didn't really think too much of it, and like the jet lag is crazy in Dubai. It's like a 12-hour difference, and just I'm really awkward. I kind of like my alone time at home. I'm a homebody, so I wasn't thinking too much of it. Near the end of our stay in Dubai, I was expecting my period, and I was having like all the symptoms. Like my boobs were tender. I was really moody, like I raged one day. Sorry, Wasim. I was just having all the symptoms, so I just figured my period was coming. Our Dubai trip was over, and then we went to Saudi Arabia. My in-laws were living there at the time, and we were going to do Umrah. For my non-Muslim followers, we were doing like a religious pilgrimage. And it was our second time doing it, so it was really special to us. We were super excited. And yeah, so we get to Saudi, and we met up our my in-laws in Medina. And I just had such a gut feeling that I was pregnant. Like it's so weird because like my period was late, but it's always kind of late every time I travel or like I'm really busy. Last year I traveled so much that my period was like always a little late or just not regular or just whatever. So, but it's had like a gut feeling. It just felt different this time. Every day, like I felt more and more sure that I was pregnant. So now it's like the first week of November, and we were on a bus from Medina to Mecca. And this is kind of how I like really knew. So I kept having to pee. Now I'm the type of person that pees like once a day, like maybe twice a day. And and I'm also the type of person that will like hold my pee if I don't want to use a certain bathroom. Now I'm not the type of person that would want to use a bathroom on a bus. Now I used that bathroom like every 2 seconds on this like few hour drive or whatever. So I like made that bathroom mine. Like I just kept peeing. We get to Mecca, we do our Umrah, and I was just so tired. Now Umrah is very exhausting. I remember the first time when we went in 2014, 13 or 14, I was pooped. Like it was so difficult, but like this time was like a different kind of difficult. Like I was so exhausted. Like for one like night prayer, I had to like sit and pray like an old person. Like I couldn't even stand up. I was so tired. And then I got kind of worried that maybe I was getting sick because the first time we went I had like the worst asthma from the dust. Like I couldn't even breathe. So It was all kinds of things running through my mind, but I definitely had a gut feeling I was pregnant. And so the next morning, my husband and I, Wasim and I, we went to Starbucks, we got coffee, and like we were just walking around, and we stopped at the pharmacy. Now this pharmacy is in like the clock tower across from the GABA, so like I felt really awkward getting a pregnancy test, so I kind of was like hiding in the corner and let Wasim get it. So he bought a pregnancy test, but we didn't have like a moment that whole day like to ourselves where I could actually take it because we were with my in-laws and I didn't want them to know I was like taking a pregnancy test. So I hid it under my pillow the whole day. And then that evening, it was like right before Maghrib prayer, we were all in the room, and so I like snuck it from under my pillow and I went to the bathroom to like take it. I've never had a positive pregnancy test before. So in my mind, I thought like even if you're pregnant, like it will take a minute or two to show you the result, like a Polaroid picture or something, you know, because on the instructions they'll be like, oh, pee on it, let it sit for a minute, and then like look at it, you know. So I peed on this stick, and like the moment my pee hit it, it showed me like a positive result, like 2 lines. And so like literally immediately, it didn't even take like 5 seconds to change. It changed immediately. So in my mind I was like, oh, this is like defective, it like doesn't work. I like called Wasim to the bathroom to look at it, and I was like, look at this, like what does this mean? Then he's like, oh my god, like you're pregnant, like what are you talking about? I was like, no, like it turned like positive way too quickly, I don't believe it. He like started tearing up, he was like fanning his eyes, and he like was so excited to tell his dad because he's so close to his dad. So he's like, I want to tell my dad, is that okay? So he went in, he announced it to his parents, and they were super excited. My mother-in-law was like crying, and I was like, no, like don't get too excited, like I don't know if it's for sure or not, like this test like might be defective, like I don't know. And they're like, no, don't worry about it, like don't think about it too much, like I'm sure it's correct, you know, whatever. But I like was not convinced. So we went back to the same pharmacist, I think the same day, I don't think it was the next day. He bought 2 more from the same pharmacist. So I was like mortified. I was like hiding again in the corner. And I went and I took them both positive. So I was like, oh my gosh, like girl needs to be taking some vitamins or something. Like I wanted to start prenatals before we even started trying to conceive, but we were so busy with traveling and stuff that I just didn't, you know. And so I was like, go back to the pharmacy, get me some prenatals. So he goes back a 3rd time, and it was the same pharmacist again. So this time I was like, I'm not even coming, you go get me some vitamins. So he went and got me prenatals. And yeah, and so it was a bittersweet day because it was election day. But it was super exciting. We found out in such a like blessed place that it was just really unforgettable. It was so special and just really, really amazing. So we come back to the States, and I researched OBs. I made my first appointment, which is my dating scan. That's when they take an ultrasound and confirm your pregnancy, and they give you a due date. So it was so exciting. Hearing the baby's heartbeat for the first time is like burned in my memory, and like seeing what she looked like, she literally looked like a little gummy bear, and she was bopping around, and her heart was like just a little flicker, but like we heard it so loud, like it made my heart fall. Like it was incredible. Like I will always remember that moment. It was amazing because I didn't know what to expect. I had never seen an ultrasound before, so I thought it was going to be like a still photo for some reason. I don't know why I thought that, but it was like she was literally like a little gummy bear just bopping around, like wiggling her arms and legs, like so cute. And so my due date was 7/7/17, which I thought was really cool. I was like, I hope she's born on her due date. That's such a cool date. And yeah, then I was off on my pregnancy. So first trimester, I was extremely fatigued. So that was probably the hardest part of my entire pregnancy. Just that first trimester fatigue was unreal. I couldn't do anything. Some days I would literally sleep 20 hours. Like not 20 hours straight, but if I consolidated it all, some days was 20 hours. Like Wasim was like freaked out. He was like, is she gonna be like this for 9 months? Like, this is ridiculous. I hope she's okay. That was that. But once the second trimester came around, like I was a whole new person. I was back to normal. I felt great. Third trimester, I continued to feel great, but then near the end, I started getting like big and uncomfortable, very short of breath, and just whatever though. But I had a very smooth and easy pregnancy. Like, I cannot thank God enough, because I know a lot of women have it very difficult, and who knows, my next one might be very difficult. So don't let anyone's pregnancy or labor and delivery experience scare you, because it's really luck of the draw. It's different for everyone, and I really truly believe that mindset and attitude is everything. If you go in thinking you'll be a piece of cake, or knowing that you can handle it, like, you 100% will be able to handle it. So yeah, I had a pretty uneventful pregnancy, which was great. But yeah, I loved my prenatal appointments. I had to see my OB every 4 weeks, which I believe is the norm if you're having like a normal healthy pregnancy. Not healthy, but low risk, I guess, a low risk pregnancy. And yeah, I loved my appointments and all that stuff. And then I started my 3rd trimester, and the appointments were supposed to start becoming more frequent. I believe it was going to be like 3 weeks, then 2 weeks, a couple times, and then in the last 4 weeks it'd be every week until I delivered. And so I was really excited for like the end of the road appointments, like all my 3rd trimester appointments, because that's when you're just like counting down. They're measuring your belly. You're just getting bigger and bigger and bigger every day. And I was just really excited for those appointments for some reason, but I didn't get to have any. I think I just had my very first one at 28 weeks, which is the beginning of the 3rd trimester. So your due date is at 40 weeks. And so I had my 28-week appointment, and so 3 weeks later was 31 weeks. So it was like right after we were coming back from our baby moon. Oops, I keep hitting the mic. So our baby moon was like between 31 and 32 weeks. The hospital called me. They had to reschedule it. I don't remember why. I think there was a scheduling issue with my doctor or something. And so it got moved. So I was really irritated, because that's 5 weeks in like the last home stretch of my pregnancy. And I didn't know anything that was going on, because I had an anterior placenta with this pregnancy, so it was like a little pillow. Like, I couldn't feel her kicks or anything unless she was kicking on the sides. I couldn't really see her movement unless like I just had a lucky day and was able to see her. Like, it was just very hard for me to like see what was going on. And then also I had a very symptom-free pregnancy, so like half the time I didn't feel pregnant, which, yes, is a blessing, but also being left in the dark is kind of scary. So I was very, very irritated. But yeah, so my OB appointment wasn't going to be until my 36th week, but I had a scan with maternal fetal medicine at 35 weeks, I think. Yes, like in my 35th week. So I went for that scan, and like baby's head was down, everything looked good, and I was just getting like super excited. Like, Wasim got a picture of me giggling and stuff on the table with my huge belly, and I was just super excited. And I was really excited for my OB appointment the following week, but for some reason I'm like super shy, so I didn't ask anything during my scan about whether I was dilated at all or anything. So I really didn't know anything. And so that was a Thursday. And then over the weekend I went to my friend's place. She was pregnant also. We were due 6 weeks apart. She was due 6 weeks after me, and she also had a baby last year. So she was like my confidant throughout my entire pregnancy, because she was like super experienced and she was pregnant at the same time. And so it was like, man, when you're pregnant, that's like all you talk about. So having someone also pregnant and due near you is like amazing. Like, I was able to talk to her about every mundane little gross thing, like, constantly. So I was at her place, and I was like really flustered. Like, ever since I hit 36 weeks, I got like very frustrated, I guess is the word. Like, everything felt difficult. I was constantly out of breath. My like back would hurt. My belly was heavy. I was extra emotional and worried. I felt really unprepared. Nothing was ready. My hospital bag was not packed. Our birthing class wasn't starting until that week, and then finishing the week after that. The maternity shoot was that week. Nothing was ready. And so I was at her place, and I was telling her, like, hey, you know, like, I don't know if it's weird or not, because, like, I had, like, like a drip trickle kind of situation, and pregnancy is just gross. Like there's always some kind of discharge or moistness going on, so like I didn't really think anything of it, but I was just telling her, and I was like, you know, like maybe the baby's bigger now and sitting on my bladder, like maybe it's like pee. Like I had no idea, because like on my birth board all women were talking about was like accidentally peeing themselves, or like they'll sneeze and pee their pants and like stuff like that, and like none of that was happening to me. So I was like, maybe this like drip trickle situation is just like baby sitting on my bladder. And she's like, yeah, it's normal, like don't worry about it, it's normal to have to like wear a liner and change it a few times a day, like whatever. So then that was Sunday, and then Monday I was running around the whole day, and again I was really flustered, really clumsy, super, yeah, just frustrated and emotional. And so I just had a whole day of errands. I like dropped off my duffel bag to like get repaired. That was going to be my hospital bag. I told him to like hurry up with it. He was going to have it done for me like by the following Monday. So my plan for the week was to like get all my things together that I'm going to pack, and then the following week to actually put it in the bag and pack. And so yeah, so that was Monday. Dropped that off, and then I was like running grocery errands because it was Ramadan. I wanted to like make nice food for my husband because he was having like a rough day at work. I don't even remember what was going on, but even though I was really uncomfortable and like whatever, and I know I didn't have to cook, I really wanted to, so whatever. I went to Container Store to like get some drawers. I left the store, I like dropped all my stuff and like broke one, but I was so frustrated I didn't even want to go back inside to exchange it or buy a new one or anything. I just like went home huffing and puffing. I went and got groceries, and like I was unloading my groceries and like putting them in like our little cart to like bring it up to our apartment, and I dropped the gallon of milk. It like burst everywhere. I didn't even clean up the milk, but like I left the jug even sitting in like the parking garage, and I called Wasim. I was like, just like when you get home, like clean up the milk. I don't know, I like can't do anything. Everything's so difficult today. And he was like, relax, dude. Like it's not that big of a deal. Like just you don't have to do all this stuff. Like just chill. And I was like, no, like it's not fair. Like you didn't get to have like an amazing Ramadan because like I'm not fasting because I'm pregnant and like whatever. So I wanted to make shami kebabs, and shami kebabs require like a bunch of different steps. So I like cooked the meat, I shredded the meat, I cooked the dal. It was all in like its respective bowls, and I just had to like assemble it, I guess. But I just got so tired. Wasim was like, forget about it. Like just make these, like finish them tomorrow. Like you got it all cooked. Assemble them tomorrow, we'll fry them tomorrow night, like it's not a big deal. He was like, go to bed. And I was like, no, like let me wash all the baby's stuff, like nothing's ready. He's like, oh my god, you're not due for another month. Just relax, you don't need to do this, like just go to bed. So by this time it's like 2 a.m. I get into bed and I felt a gush. Now it wasn't like a huge gush, it was like I literally thought I peed, you know? So like I go to the bathroom, I had to change my pants, and like I changed my liner to like a regular pad, and so that was Monday night. Okay, so then Tuesday morning I texted my friend, the same one I saw over the weekend, and I told her about like, what am I doing? I told her about my pad situation, and she was like, no, 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 like if it's more than a liner, like you really need to call your OB or like go to labor and delivery, like you need to call your OB or whatever. So I am like the most awkward person ever. I hate making phone calls. It's so hard for me to even like call Pizza Hut to order pizza. Like I get so uncomfortable. I did not want to call my OB. I was like dilly-dallying, and I was like, oh, why can't I just like text my OB? Like I was like feeling so awkward. My friend checked in with me a couple hours later. She's like, did you call your OB? And I said, no. She's like, woman, like call your OB. So I called and I told them the situation, and they were like, oh, you know, whatever, just come in. Like, we definitely want to see you. We'll just do a quick swab to just make sure it's not your amniotic fluid. It won't take long. It'll take about like 45 minutes to get results. So like bring something to do. And I was like, oh, 45 minutes, that's no big deal. I'll just bring my phone, whatever. So I took a shower, washed my hair, threw on my Jurassic Park t-shirt, and I went to the hospital. So I left home around noon, got to the hospital like 12:30 maybe. 12:40, I'm in triage, I don't know what it's called, that communal kind of room. I had like a cubicle situation, just waiting. They hooked me up to like monitors to make sure the baby's all right. Everything with the baby looked fine, thank God. Apparently I was having contractions, but I wasn't feeling them, so they must have not been very strong, but I was having contractions. I just wasn't feeling them at all. I was feeling completely normal. And so they came in to swab me. Sorry, I'm being so weird. No one's really telling me anything. You would think, especially with something that, intimate, that they would say, hey, okay, this is what I'm using, and this is what we're looking for, and, if I get this result, this means that. If I get that result, that's what that means. But they didn't say anything. So they swabbed me with this, Q-tip kind of situation, and all of a sudden, they all start, pss, 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 they all start, all the nurses start, to each other, and I was like, what are they talking about? And I just keep hearing blue, blue, it's blue, and I was like, what the fuck does it mean it's blue? What does that mean? And they all kind of scurried away. So I was like, no one told me anything. So I started Googling, since I'm just sitting there alone. I just Googled amniotic fluid swab blue. And so there's a spectrum of colors, and blue meant it's your amniotic fluid, no question about it. So then I started freaking out. I was like, well, what does that mean now? I had no idea what that meant. And so then they come back and they're like, okay, we're going to do another test and send it to the lab. They had to use a speculum and everything. It was I don't even know what they were swabbing or doing. And I was like, what's going on? What does this mean? What are you going to hear back from the lab, and what does it mean? And they were like, well, we're just making sure that it is your amniotic fluid, and, the swab might not be right, so we just want to make sure. And I was like, okay, so what does it mean if it is? And they're like, oh, you might get admitted, let's see, let's wait. I was like, what does get admitted mean? Does that mean I'm having my baby, or does that mean you guys just need to watch me, or what does that mean? And they're like, I don't know, either way, we'll see. And I was like, can someone just tell me, what is going on? No one was explicitly telling me anything, and it was driving me insane. I'm just, waiting around again, and then they come back. Hours have gone by this point. And they were, pretty much okay, it is your amniotic fluid, so, we're going to induce you, and, we'll get you a room. And I was like, I literally thought when I was driving, 1, it's not my fluid. 2, if it is my fluid, it's not going to be a huge deal. 3, if it is a huge deal and I do need to have my baby, they'll at least send me home to get my stuff. They didn't even let me go home. They were like, yep, you're staying, we're going to get you a room, we're going to induce you. And so that freaked me out because, yeah, I didn't even have a birth plan at this point, nothing. And all I knew, because I didn't even know very much, I didn't have time to Google things. Literally that Monday, the day before, I downloaded a contraction counter, in case I started contractions. I just didn't know anything. Birthing class hasn't started. Nothing had started. Literally that week was my week to do everything. I was going to get waxed. I was going to get my nails done. I really wanted to get my lashes done, but that wasn't going to happen. My birthing class was going to start. I had my maternity shoot. I had all kinds of things lined up for that week. And then all of a sudden I hear, hey, you're going to have your baby with your wet hair and Jurassic Park t-shirt. Not what I wanted to hear at all. And I did not want to hear induction at all either. Because, 1, I didn't fully know what that meant. But all I did know was I didn't want Pitocin. So during my first trimester, I was watching Asia's birth video, and she talked about a documentary called The Business of Being Born. I recommend it if you are expecting, and just know that it's a very biased documentary. It's very pro-home birth, and even though I wasn't planning on a home birth, and I still wasn't after watching it, I learned so much from it, and it was just very educational and very eye-opening. And so one thing I knew was I don't want Pitocin, because I just felt like that was the first intervention that will lead to a cascade of interventions, which will ultimately lead to an emergency C-section. And I did not want a C-section. That was seriously my biggest fear. So then I started freaking out. I was like, oh my God, I'm going to get Pitocin. The baby's going to go into distress. I'm going to need a C-section. I was freaked out, And one of the nurses got on the computer and started asking me all these questions are you open to an epidural? Are you open to this? Are you open to that? Blah, blah, blah. So pretty much she was putting together a rough birth plan, because I didn't have a birth plan at this point. So I was kind of annoyed. I was like, I don't even know half these things. I didn't get to Google anything or research anything or learn anything, and you're putting together my birth plan right here, right now, real time, so fast, didn't even get to think about it. So I was super annoyed. And so, yeah, and then they just kind of left me on my own for a while. So I was just left alone with my thoughts. And Wasim was in a meeting, and he told me, he's like, as soon as I'm out of this meeting, I'm coming. don't freak out, like we're gonna meet our baby today. Like he really fixed my mood, because when they left me alone and also weren't fully telling me everything, I got really nervous and I got really scared. And that's not really me. Like I can be dramatic and I can complain a lot, but I'm not a high-strung person. I'm a very level-headed person, especially under stressful situations. To kind of have an outer body experience of like freaking out and getting really nervous and feeling so alone, like kind of put me into a panic. But like he was able to really bring me back down, and he was so excited. He's like, no, we're gonna meet our baby, like don't even worry. So he showed up pretty quickly. By that point, like I was like a hot mess. Ever since I was little, nurses have never been able to find my veins when giving me an IV. They stuck me 7 times in the hospital, and it's like a 2-stick limit per nurse. So it was 3 nurses that tried twice. That was 6. And then the anesthesiologist ended up having to do it for me. So my arms were like black and blue. My hair was like a hot ass mess. Like my hair is not wash and go hair. And I was really banking on being able to blow dry my hair. I really wanted to be pretty when my baby came into this world, and I just was not. I really wanted to blow dry my hair, but I was like, okay, with these black and blue arms and this IV sticking out of one of my hands, like there's no way I can blow dry my hair. So I know those are superficial things, but like whatever. They were all freaking me out because they're like, oh, we don't want you to bruise because like we want to make sure you're able to hold your baby. And I was like, oh, I'm not even able to hold my baby. I asked the nurses if I was allowed to eat, because I wanted to make sure I ate before I passed that point of not being allowed to eat. I don't remember if that was after the induction or after the epidural. I think it was after the induction. I wasn't allowed to eat anymore. I had like a big meal and I was like ready to go. They induced me around like 6:40 p.m. I think. So literally from 12:40 to 6 for 6 hours, I was just sitting in triage, whatever it's called, like doing nothing and just getting poked over and over and over. So finally they started my Pitocin, and I was just like texting with my friends. 2 of my friends like became moms last year, local friends, and so they were both telling me like with epidural to get ahead of the pain. Like don't wait for it to get so painful where I feel like I need pain relief, but like the moment it gets uncomfortable to ask for the epidural. Because 1, the anesthesiologist might be busy, he might be in surgery, and so it'll take him time to come. And 2, like it's a pump situation anyway. Like I'm not gonna like OD on epidural or like not be allowed to have it anymore once it's in. I don't remember what time it was. I think around like 10 or 11 was when I finally asked for the epidural. But Wasim left, I think, around 9. I sent him home to like get pajamas for me, pick up like a little bit of makeup, wash like all of the baby's things, and bring like a coming home outfit. Like there was all these things like we had to do, and like nothing was done. And so he went home, he like did all these things. He was like FaceTiming my makeup to like ask what to bring because he had no idea. And like he got like the house like cleaned up a little bit and like ready, because he didn't want to bring our baby home to like a messy house. He was gone for quite a while, and around like 10 or 11 I think is when I asked for the epidural, and I was like, but just wait for my husband to come back. I want him here when I have it. And he took forever because he took a little like cat nap at home. He was so tired. And so he finally made it back around midnight. And so the anesthesiologist came, gave me the epidural, and then I was in my labor and delivery room by this point, and they gave me like a peanut ball put between my legs so I could lay on my side or whatever and still be comfortable and just rest. They were like, try and sleep if you can. So I was just napping, I guess. And so even before the epidural kicked in, my contractions weren't too bad. Like if I had to compare them to something, it wouldn't even be period cramps. They kind of feel like gas diarrhea cramps. I know that's like gross, but that's kind of what it feels like. It kind of has like that burning, bubbling up kind of sensation. Those are painful, but it's not like deathly painful or a type of pain that I've never felt before, if you know what I mean. Everything was numb. What happened before the epidural? I feel like I'm skipping over stuff. Oh yeah. So before the induction, I made sure I ate. Now before the epidural, I was like, what can't I do once I have this epidural? Can I walk around? Can I go to the bathroom? And they said no. So I was like, all right, well, I have to go to the bathroom. I was like terrified of getting a catheter, like terrified. An irrational fear that I had was pooping while pushing the baby. So I was like, can I try and go to the bathroom? They were like, if you want, like whatever. And so the Pitocin, like the induction kind of was making everything contract. And so I was like, let me just try and go to the bathroom, see what happens, whatever. So luckily I was able to do all that, like before the epidural. So I was feeling a lot more at ease. Like that fear kind of left my mind. And I feel like in order for your labor and delivery to be as smooth as possible, you need to be as comfortable as possible. Like, don't have people there that make you uncomfortable, that aren't good support people, that stress you out, that are waiting in the waiting room, stressing you out, or outside the door. Like, keep everyone away that isn't helpful to you. And then also, like, if you have an irrational fear like mine, do your best to go to the bathroom before you can't go to the bathroom anymore. My mind was just totally at ease. I was terrified of the catheter, but literally, like, it didn't feel like anything. And if anything, it felt good because my bladder was completely empty, like, moving forward. Whereas, like, my entire third trimester, I felt like it was full all the time. I was just feeling good, like, and I was super numb, like, from the waist down. And where did I leave off? Because now I backtrack. Around, like, 3:30, 3:45-ish, I like buzzed, it's 3:45 right now, so exactly 100 days ago, I like buzzed the nurse and I was like, hey, like, I think my contractions are starting to get like really painful. And, backtracking once more. This is why I should have done my birth story 99 days ago. So when I was in triage, whatever, I kept asking them, like, how dilated am I? Like, is this baby coming on its own at all, or are you guys about to force it out? Like, what is going on, you know? And they were like, well, your water has broken, so we don't want to check because you're at a higher risk of infection. And oh yeah, they also gave me a steroid shot in my butt because 37 weeks was considered full term, and anything before that is like preterm. And so they gave me a steroid shot to develop the baby's lungs a little more, just in case, I guess. And so that freaked me out also, thinking my baby was gonna need NICU time, and I just had all kinds of worries going through my head because everything was so unexpected and I was so blindsided. What was I just talking about? Oh, I don't remember. Oh yeah, dilation. So yeah, they wouldn't check, and then after like a few hours, and even after getting induced, I was like, no, put on some gloves, some new gloves, and check me. Like, I need to know that like something is moving and something is happening. And so the first time they checked, I was 2 centimeters. And so with Seema, I kept laughing, thinking about that episode of Friends when Rachel's having her baby and she was like dilated 3 centimeters like the entire day. And Ross said 3. I'm dilated 3. So like we kept saying that all day. But anyway, so first I was 2, and then then after they moved me to my labor and delivery room, and I got my epidural, and then I forgot what time, maybe like 3 o'clock, they checked, and I was like 7.5. So they were like, okay, I'll probably be like a few more hours, like get some sleep, whatever. And like literally within like 30, 40, it was about 40 minutes was when I called them in, like, yo, like my contractions are actually starting to hurt now. Like, it still wasn't too bad. It just felt like really bad diarrhea, I guess. And so, yeah, I told them that like now they're like, it's really starting to hurt. Like, check me or whatever. They checked. I was 10 centimeters ready to go. So by this time it's like 4 a.m. And so they're like, okay, like, let's get ready. You're going to start pushing soon. So like Wasim woke up off the couch. I'm like getting mentally prepped. Like all these nurses came in, and I pushed for about 30-40 minutes, and it really wasn't that bad. And like my biggest worry wasn't necessarily the pushing. I was kind of worried about Wasim, like not that he would freak out or anything, but just like we hadn't had a birthing class. So I was like, does he even know how to be a support person? Like, does he even know what to do? Like, And it's not like I know what he's supposed to do. So, like, I just felt like we were just really clueless. But the nurses were amazing. Like, I loved my labor and delivery experience. I loved the nurses. Everyone was so great. And so, yeah, they, like, coached him on how to coach me. Like, it was really great. And so, my first few pushes, like, I didn't know anything. Like, I just thought you just, like, push willy-nilly, like, whatever. But you push when you're contracting. And so, you know, each contraction was a few minutes. So in those 30, 40 minutes, maybe I had like 7 push sessions, like not even, you know. Anyway, first few pushes, I was just kind of pushing, and they were like, no, you have to like push harder, like towards like your butt or whatever. So near the end, I was like, all right, I'm just going to push like I'm like pooping. And so, yeah, I don't know, I just pushed really hard. I progressed really quickly, and like, it was so, and it really wasn't painful. Like, pushing was not painful at all. And it was just uncomfortable, but it wasn't painful. And it was so funny because, like, we always said, like, Wasim and I decided that, like, he wouldn't look. Because I just feel like that's one of those things that, like, once you see, you can't unsee, and then it just kind of ruins it for you, if that makes sense. And so, I wasn't waxed, but luckily I wasn't, like, crazy because I've had it lasered. So it was just a little bit that I just wanted to get waxed. But anyway, whatever. It's, like, off topic. But, anyway, so, yeah, when she started crowning, one of the nurses, like, said to Wasim, like, do you want to look? Like, why don't you look? Like, your baby's crowning. So he looked, and I was like, hey, I thought we decided we weren't going to look. And he had an internal dialogue of, oh my God, why did I just do that to myself? Why did I look? I'm never going to be able to unsee that. Like, I just ruined my life. Like, why did I do that, you know? He had no regrets after, and he still doesn't, because he actually got to see our daughter being born, and, like, he said it was incredible, and he'll never forget it, and he's so happy that he was able to see that. So I'm happy he ended up with that conclusion. But anyway, so yeah, I'm pushing. They were like giving me oxygen to give me like more energy, I guess, right? To push. And then on like the very last push, like I pushed like super hard, and they called it the ring of fire. I still haven't Googled what that means, but I'm assuming it means when like half her head is out and half is still in, and she's just chilling there. That is the part that actually hurt, and it hurt a lot. And if I had to compare it to something, I would compare it to like a stretched rubber band that feels hot, which makes sense if they call it the ring of fire. And so, yeah, so I got to that point, and they were like, okay, now wait. And I was like, the hell do you mean wait? They're like, we have to go get an OB, like, we have to go get the doctor to catch the baby, because it was just nurses. They were like, yeah, we have to get the doctor to catch the baby. I was like, no. This is the part that actually hurts. There are 3 of you standing here. I'm about to push. Somebody catch my baby. And so I literally pushed, and Wasim was getting all annoyed because they were taking forever to, like, suit up, like, get their scrubs on or whatever they had to get on. And so I pushed, and she literally, like, finished doing whatever she was doing, like getting gloves on, and just like caught her. I didn't see it. I kind of wish I did, but I didn't want to watch on a mirror or anything, because I don't know. I feel like it being my first time, it would have like freaked me out, or I would have like gotten in my head. Like my next baby, I'll 100% watch for sure. I've done it this time, you know. But for the first time, I didn't want to watch. I think it would have like stalled labor and freaked me out. But yeah, she caught her. I vividly remember 3 things. I vividly remember first hearing her cry, and then what she felt like on me, because I put her on my chest, and what she smelled like. So the cry, of course, is amazing. We all know what like a new fresh baby sounds like crying, but I was expecting her to be slimy. Because obviously I don't know what like amniotic fluid and all that stuff feels like, but like I always pictured it to be like slippery and slimy, but she wasn't. Like she was kind of pruny and like not slippery, and like she was warm and wet, and like the smell wasn't bad. Like I always pictured to like smell like oatmeal and just be like slippery. Like, but like she didn't really have like a smell. Like, oh my God, that that was the best moment ever. And like, I'm like getting emotional thinking about it. Which is crazy because I didn't cry then. Like, I thought I was going to, but it all was so surreal and such an outer body experience that, like, I didn't even cry then. It was just so overwhelming, and I don't know why I'm, like, tearing up now. Anyway, so yeah, so that was that. I don't even remember the next couple hours before getting moved to the postpartum wing. I remember Beyonce was having her twins at the same time at the same hospital. So I was like really paranoid anytime like Wasim went home or to the cafeteria or like anything, because my biggest fear was that Beyonce was gonna pull a Beyonce and like shut down the whole hospital where no one can get like in or out, like whatever bullshit they did in New York, which I thought was really inconsiderate. So I was really worried that like something like that was going to happen. So I told Wasim, I was like, if you're going anywhere, you ask someone before you leave if you're going to be able to get back in, because if you're not going anywhere. But luckily there was nothing, there wasn't even chitter chatter about it. Like I didn't hear anything about it or see anything about it. It was just like on Twitter that she was at UCLA, because I was at UCLA. I don't really remember the next couple hours. I just remember right before we were getting moved to postpartum, Wasim was trying to say the adhan in Aya's ear. The adhan is the call to prayer. He was so excited to do this, and every time he would start, a nurse or someone, like, you know, a janitor, like the room service lady, like somebody would bust in the room and just start talking. And he was like, like he tried so hard so many times. It was so funny. And so we finally got moved to postpartum. He finally got to say the adhan. And I hated postpartum with a passion. Like every 2 seconds, somebody would bust in the room. And by this point, you're exhausted. Like we are exhausted. The adrenaline has worn off because like, staying up all night birthing a baby was exciting as hell. Postpartum, not so exciting. You know, like, what did we even do? Like, the TV didn't even have real channels. I Postmates Pokey. That was, like, my dream first meal. I was, like, dying for Pokey my entire pregnancy. I was learning to breastfeed. The baby was sleeping, so I was trying to sleep, but nobody would let us sleep. So we're there for, like, a few days, and what's it called? What happened? What's worth telling from postpartum? I don't even remember. My hair was a hot ass mess because again I went to the hospital with it wet. So by this time it was like a bird's nest. It was like one big dreadlock. Like even after getting home and conditioner, it took me forever to get it apart. So like in the hospital it was like a disaster. And like when Wasim went home to get my makeup and stuff, he did bring my blow dryer, but they took forever to take my IV out. They would not take it out for like until the last day. So yeah, I was super duper annoyed because I just felt so ugly. And honestly, that's my one regret. Like, it's not even like not having my makeup and stuff. My one regret is going to the hospital with wet hair. I just wish I blow dried my hair before I went. Because every picture I have with my baby, the first, like, Wasim got a video of her on my chest, like, minutes after she was born, and just, I have this like bird's nest. Like my acne scars don't even bother me, but I had this like bird's, and I just, man, it's okay though. It's not a huge deal, but it is a bummer. Back to like the people constantly busting in. There was some photographer lady that kept busting in and like soliciting her services. So I was super duper annoyed with her, cause like, you don't even work here. Like you're just soliciting your services, you know? And you're disturbing my sleep, you're disturbing everything. I kept telling her like, just come back our last day or whatever, because we're so unprepared. We didn't even have a camera with us. So I was like, all right, well, let this lady at least take pictures for us, you know? And I had the IV in my hand, so I couldn't even like blow dry my hair or anything. And I was tired, I was bleeding, like I just was not in the mood. Anyway, she ended up coming back the last day in the last 10 minutes, and like it was the best money we've ever spent. Like we wouldn't have had these hospital pictures if it wasn't for her, and they're really beautiful actually. She did a really good job. Yeah, postpartum wing really sucked. Like sucked so much. I wanted to leave so bad, and what was really annoying was since I delivered technically Wednesday, they keep you 2 days after, so I couldn't leave till Friday. But really it was like Tuesday night, so I wish I could have left on Thursday, but it's all good. I just hated that postpartum wing. We were so exhausted. We couldn't get any rest. People were so annoying. And like, Aya's blood sugar was really low when she was born. Oh, and she had no NICU time. Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah. That was like my biggest fear, that she would be like too small, or like her lungs would be underdeveloped or something. But she didn't have to go to the NICU or anything. But her blood sugar was super low when she was born. But she latched really well. I fed her for like an hour, and like within that hour, like her blood sugar was back up to normal. But because of that blood sugar situation, they pricked her foot every couple hours for like 2-3 days straight. I felt so bad. Like, it's like burned in my memory the way she would cry every time, and they did it every time, and I hated them for it. I think that's it. Like, I can't really think of... Kind of bummed I don't remember. Like, I wish I did my birth story so long ago, but I just couldn't. I couldn't muster up the time or the energy, like all of it. But things are finally starting to get easier. She's 3 months old now. We're starting to figure things out. She is in the middle of a leap right now, her third leap, so she's a bit fussy and a little off, and it's been difficult, but she's amazing. She's amazing. So, yeah, kind of bummer that I don't really remember everything, but I will remember if you ask me. So if you have any questions, don't leave it on this video because it's so difficult. The first link in the description box is my birth story on my blog. Leave me a comment there, and like, you don't need an account or anything. You just type in your name and your email, so it's simple. So leave me a comment there and I'll respond, and we can chat. And if you have any questions at all, my biggest takeaway from my birth experience is don't get so caught up in the little things. Like, I had like a packing list, like a long laundry list of things I wanted to pack to take to the hospital, like full glam makeup and a blow dryer and a curling iron, hairspray, a power strip, movies, all different kinds of cameras, a tripod, all kinds of coming home outfits for her and me, like so much stuff. And really, like, not only did I not need it like I thought, but if I had all those things, I would have stressed about those things and stressed about not getting the perfect picture and not being like full glam and her not fitting into her outfit, or like all that little shit does not matter, you know? And I think the fact that it wasn't there kept me unbothered. Like, I wasn't bothered. The only thing I was bothered about was my unblow-dried hair. But even like our hospital photos ended up beautiful. I just blow-dried like this, just the very front, and the rest of it was like a bird's nest, and I just clipped it back. And like, the way she took the pictures, you can't even tell. So I was really, really thankful for her, even though she annoyed the crap out of me like the first 2 mornings. My greatest advice is just to like be in the moment and just really enjoy it. Every birth is special, but of course your first birth is so much more, because that's like the moment you become a mom. And like, me not worrying about all those little things really helped me savor the moment. Not to say, you know, if I had all those things, I wouldn't have. But, you know, when I'm on vacation and I want all my perfectly posed photos versus going on vacation and not even taking a camera, the experience is slightly different, of course. And so I'm glad I didn't have any distractions that could have potentially changed my birth experience, because I loved my birth experience so much and I'm so grateful for it. Alhamdulillah. Yeah, I wouldn't have changed a thing. The only thing I would have changed is making Wasim stay and not go back home to get stuff. He could have gone the next morning, because I really wanted to ride out my labor with him, but I really spent almost my entire laboring time alone. And it wasn't his fault. He wasn't neglecting me. He wasn't ignoring me. We just had no idea it'd move that quickly. You know, they induced me at almost 7 p.m. and they were like, you probably won't meet your baby until at least tomorrow evening. Like, I was prepared for like a 20-hour, 30-hour labor. But it ended up being 9. 7 to 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, 9 hours. 9-hour labor, less than an hour of pushing. Like, alhamdulillah, I can't complain, but I do really wish Wasim was there for more of it, because most of my time I was just kind of alone with my thoughts festering, or like texting, and just I wanted that time to be like special, because it was like our last few hours of it just being us, and now it'll never be just us ever again, you know. But it's okay. Like, we really enjoyed this pregnancy. We had a beautiful baby shower. We had an amazing baby moon. We created an amazing life. So I'm not harping on it, but that's the one thing I wish I had, other than blow dried hair. So yeah, again, if you guys have any questions at all, leave them for me. If any of you are pregnant, I wish you a very happy, healthy pregnancy, a very smooth and magical delivery, birth experience. I hope you love your birth experience as much as I did, and I can only pray that like all of my future birth experiences are like this. I know they might not be, but again, I really do believe that mindset is everything, and mentality is everything. Just go in with a positive mindset, feel confident in yourself, in your situation, in what's meant to be is meant to be, and you can't change it by stressing. So roll with the punches, and inshallah, God willing, it will be perfect and safe and happy. And I'm rambling now, but I hope you guys enjoyed my birth story. I do have a makeup tutorial for this look. I really love it, and I'm gonna go to bed. It's 4:11, so Aya's probably gonna wake up in like 3-4 hours, so I should get some sleep. And if she's not too fussy, this video is going up today. I really wanted to go up today because today's her 100th day birthday. That's it. I love you guys. Thanks so much for watching.